The Empire laughed, until a human women general said, "You want war? We will give you war." Grand Admiral Vexor of the Crosian Empire leaned back in his command chair, his scaled fingers tapping rhythmically against the armrest. The holographic display showed a small, blue-green planet rotating slowly, a primitive little mud ball called Earth. "So these are the famous humans," he snorted, glancing at his officers who shared knowing looks. "The ones who think they can deny our mining rights to their asteroid belt." His second-in-command, Commander Dravik, flashed her fangs in what passed for a smile among their species. "We received their transmission an hour ago, Admiral. Their leader wishes to speak with you." "Oh, how precious!" Vexor laughed, his voice booming across the bridge. "Put them through. Let's hear what these monkeys have to say before we turn their orbital defenses into space debris." The main screen flickered before displaying the stern face of a human female. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, revealing sharp features and eyes that somehow managed to look both weary and dangerously alert. The insignia on her uniform identified her as General Alexandra Reeves, Earth Defense Command. "This is General Alexandra Reeves of the United Earth Forces," she began, her voice calm but firm. "I understand you have laid claim to our asteroid belt." Vexor couldn't help himself. He burst into laughter, joined by several of his bridge officers. "Claim? My dear Primitive, the Crosian Empire doesn't claim. We take. Your species hasn't even managed to colonize your own moon permanently, while we control 17 star systems. Now, be reasonable and surrender your mining rights, and perhaps we will consider hiring some of your people as laborers." The woman on screen didn't flinch, didn't even blink. She simply stared at him with those unnerving eyes. "Admiral Vexor, I presume," she asked, consulting something off-screen. "Let me be crystal clear. Earth and its surrounding space falls under our jurisdiction. We have no interest in your empire or your conquests, but we will defend what's ours." Vexor raised his eye ridges in mock surprise. "Defend? With what? Those pathetic satellites we detected in orbit? The handful of military bases on your moon? Please, General. Our scans show you have exactly 27 armed spacecraft. We have over 300 in this fleet alone." For the first time, General Reeves smiled. It wasn't pleasant. "You want war? We will give you war," she said quietly. "But I should warn you, Admiral. Humans don't fight like Crosians. We don't fight like anyone you have ever encountered." "Is that supposed to frighten me?" Vexor asked, genuinely amused now. "Your species has spent most of its history fighting itself. You haven't even achieved peace on your own planet." "Exactly," Reeves replied. "War is our specialty. You have conquered peaceful worlds, scientific outposts, mining colonies. We will be your first real challenge." Vexor slammed his fist down, his patience wearing thin. "Enough. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender control of your asteroid belt, or we will take it by force. And once we are done there, perhaps we will decide your planet needs new management too." The general didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "You have 24 hours to leave our solar system, Admiral. After that, the Crosian Empire will learn why starting a war with humans is the worst mistake in your species' history." The transmission cut, leaving Vexor staring at the blank screen. "Well," said Commander Dravik, breaking the silence, "they certainly have spirit." "Spirit doesn't win wars," Vexor replied, rising from his chair. "Firepower does. And we have them outgunned 100 to 1. He turned to his tactical officer. "Begin preparations for a surgical strike on their lunar base. Let's show them what happens when they challenge the Empire." Little did Admiral Vexor know that aboard the lunar base, General Reeves was having a very different conversation. "Did they take the bait?" asked Colonel Jackson, her chief of operations. Reeves nodded, removing her uniform jacket. "Hook, line, and sinker. Vexor believes exactly what we wanted him to believe. that we are outmatched, outgunned, and desperate. Arrogant lizard, muttered Dr. Torres, the head of Special Weapons Division. Did you tell him about Project Vanguard? Of course not, Reeves said, pulling up a holographic display showing hundreds of stealth satellites positioned throughout the solar system, completely invisible to Crozian sensors. The first rule of warfare is never let your enemy know your true strength. Colonel Jackson grinned. When do we activate the defense grid? Not yet, Reeves replied. Let them make the first move. Let them think they have won. The Crozians have conquered 17 systems because none of them fought back effectively. They expect an easy victory. She zoomed in on Vexor's flagship. But humanity doesn't do easy surrender. We never have. Dr. Torres looked concerned. The casualties could be significant, General. Which is why we won't be fighting a conventional war, Reeves said, bringing up another display. This one showing designs for weapon systems unlike anything the Crozians had ever faced. Humanity has spent millennia perfecting the art of killing each other. Now we get to use that expertise against someone who actually deserves it. As alarms began blaring, signaling the approach of Crozian scout ships, Reeves looked up at the ceiling of the lunar base. So it begins, she whispered. They think this is their war. They don't realize yet, but they are playing our game now. And above them, silent and deadly in the vacuum of space, Earth's true defenses waited for the order to reveal themselves. Admiral Vexor watched with satisfaction as the tactical display showed his fighter squadrons approaching the human lunar base. This would be over quickly, a brief, surgical strike to demonstrate Crozian superiority, followed by the humans' inevitable surrender. Their defenses are pathetic, Lieutenant Morg reported from the sensor station. The minimal point defense weapons, a small squadron of fighters. They are scrambling now, but too late. They actually believe they can fight us, Vexor mused, almost feeling sorry for the primitive species. Almost. Record everything. This will make an excellent addition to the Imperial Archives, how not to resist the Crozian Empire. The bridge crew chuckled appreciatively. After all, this was hardly their first conquest. The pattern was always the same: show force, crush initial resistance, accept surrender. Sometimes they didn't even need the second step. First wave approaching lunar defense perimeter, announced the tactical officer, expecting minimal resistance. What happened next would be discussed in Crozian military academies for generations. The supposedly primitive human fighters suddenly accelerated to speeds the Crozians had believed impossible for such small craft. They didn't engage in the expected defensive formation, but instead scattered in seemingly random patterns before executing impossibly tight turns that would have killed any Crozian pilot through G-forces alone. What in the seven moons? Commander Dravik gasped as the tactical display showed the first squadron of Crozian fighters being decimated. Impossible, Lieutenant Morg stammered. Their technology, our intelligence said they were decades behind us. Vexor leaned forward, his previous amusement evaporating. Get me a visual. Now. The main screen flickered to life, showing the battle around the moon. The human fighters weren't just fast, they were firing weapons that somehow bypassed Crozian shields entirely. And strangest of all, they seemed to be piloted with a reckless abandon that bordered on suicidal. Second wave, engage. Vexor ordered, his voice rising. Deploy the Fang squadrons. As his elite fighters joined the battle, a new alert sounded. Admiral, we are detecting energy signatures behind us, lots of them. They weren't there a moment ago. The tactical display suddenly bloomed with hundreds of new contacts, appearing as if from nowhere throughout the solar system. Stealth satellites, now revealing themselves, opened fire on the Crozian fleet from all directions. Status report. Vexor demanded as his ship rocked from the first impacts. Shields at 82% and dropping, reported a panicked officer. These weapons, they are phasing through our defenses somehow. On the main screen, a transmission cut through their communications. General Reeves appeared, now dressed in full battle armor, her face illuminated by emergency lighting. "I warned you, Admiral," she said, not a hint of gloating in her voice, just cold efficiency. "Humans don't fight like others. We don't fight fair. We fight to win." "This is impossible," Vexor growled. "Our intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to have." Reeves finished for him. "Every piece of information your spies gathered was what we fed them. Every weakness you thought you saw was a trap we laid. Every advantage you believed you had was an illusion we created." For the first time in his career, Admiral Vexor felt something unfamiliar crawling up his spine. Was this fear? "All ships, combat formation Delta," he ordered. "Concentrate fire on those satellites." But the satellites were already moving, using some kind of advanced propulsion system to evade Crozian targeting systems. Meanwhile, from the direction of Earth itself, a new wave of human vessels was approaching, larger warships that had somehow remained hidden on the planet's dark side. "Admiral," Commander Dravik said quietly, "I think we should consider a tactical retreat." "Retreat? Before these primitives?" Vexor snarled, but even as he spoke, 3 more of his ships reported critical damage. On screen, General Reeves continued. "You came to our home, Admiral, the one place in the universe where humanity has spent thousands of years perfecting the art of violence. We have fought each other over land, over resources, over ideas. We have created weapons specifically designed to kill our own kind. And now you get to experience the full force of that evolutionary history." Another explosion rocked the bridge as a nearby cruiser was torn apart. "This is your final warning," Reeves said. "Leave our solar system immediately or be destroyed." Vexor stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Somehow, in less than an hour, his overwhelming advantage had been turned against him. Half his fighter squadrons were gone, 3 capital ships critically damaged, and the human forces were still emerging from hiding spots throughout the system. "Order the retreat," he finally said, the words tasting like poison. "Tactical withdrawal to the outer system boundary." As the Crozian fleet began pulling back, pursued by the surprisingly lethal human fighters, Vexor made a silent vow. This wasn't over. This was merely the first engagement in what would now become a true war. What he didn't realize was that General Alexandra Reeves was counting on exactly that reaction. Back on the lunar base, surrounded by her command staff, Reeves watched the Crozian retreat with grim satisfaction. "They took the bait," she said. "Again." "You think they will be back?" asked Colonel Jackson. With reinforcements, Reeves nodded. Vexor's pride won't let him accept defeat. And that's exactly what we need. "For Phase 2? Dr. Torres asked. Reeves nodded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display showing the retreating Crozian ships. "For Phase 2. The Empire just learned we can fight. Now they need to learn we can win." The Grand Council chamber of the Crozian Empire buzzed with angry voices. 12 high admirals, the military elite of the Empire, surrounded the holographic display showing the humiliating retreat from the Earth system. Unacceptable. High Admiral Croth pounded his scaled fist on the table. "But a backward species with a single habitable planet drove away our fleet? The shame is unbearable." Admiral Vexor stood rigidly, enduring their collective wrath. The humans concealed their true technological capabilities. They laid a trap, and I walked into it. "The first defeat in Crozian military history," hissed Admiral Zora, her frills extending in anger. "Our enemies throughout the Empire will hear of this. Rebellions will spark on a dozen worlds." "Then we must respond decisively," Vexor argued. "I have analyzed their tactics, their weapons. They surprised us once. It won't happen again." The Supreme Admiral, Ancient Krozog, leaned forward. His scales had long ago faded from vibrant blue to pale gray, but his mind remained sharper than a hunter's talon. "What do you propose, Admiral Vexor?" he asked quietly, silencing the chamber. "A full invasion force," Vexor replied without hesitation. 5 battle groups, 7,000 ships. We will crush this human resistance and make an example of their world. Krozog's eyes narrowed. Such a force has never been assembled in our history. "And we have never faced an enemy like the humans," Vexor countered. "They fight differently, unpredictably. They employ tactics no civilized species would consider." "Explain," demanded Admiral Zora. Vexor activated a secondary display showing footage from the battle. Their pilots execute maneuvers that should kill them from gravitational forces alone. They use attack patterns that sacrifice their own ships to damage ours, and their weapons. He paused. Their weapons suggest they have been preparing for interstellar war for centuries. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. "You believe they knew we were coming?" Supreme Admiral Krozog asked. "Before we even discovered their world?" "No," Vexor replied. "I believe they have been preparing to fight anyone, perhaps even themselves. War appears to be fundamental to their nature in a way we cannot comprehend." After much debate, the Council approved Vexor's request. The largest military force in Krozian history would assemble to crush the human resistance once and for all. What none of them realized was that every word spoken in their supposedly secure chamber was being listened to by human intelligence operatives. Aboard the Earth Defense Command Station in orbit around Jupiter, General Reeves reviewed the intercepted Krozian transmissions with her senior staff. 5 battle groups, Colonel Jackson whistled. "They are really taking us seriously now." "Good," Reeves replied. "That's exactly what we need." Dr. Torres frowned. "With respect, General, even with our technological advantages, we can't possibly defeat a force that size in direct combat." "Which is why we won't engage in direct combat," Reeves said, bringing up a star chart of Krozian territory. "For decades, humanity feared first contact would bring conquest, so we prepared. While officially focusing on lunar bases and Mars colonies, secretly we built deep space capabilities and weapons systems designed specifically for interstellar warfare." She zoomed in on a specific sector. "And we sent advance teams, infiltration units, observers. For years they have been mapping the Krozian Empire from within, identifying weaknesses, establishing networks." Commander Walsh, head of Special Operations, stepped forward. "Operation Ghost is ready, General. Our agents are in position throughout Krozian space. We can activate them on your command." Reeves nodded. "The Krozians think the war will be fought here, in our solar system. They are wrong." Her finger traced a path through multiple Krozian star systems. "We are taking the fight to them." "But our fleet," Dr. Torres began. "Is exactly where it needs to be," Reeves finished, defending Earth. "Meanwhile, our stealth carriers have already deployed to these positions throughout Krozian territory." She highlighted several locations on the map. Colonel Jackson looked impressed. "They will never expect us to strike their homeland while defending our own. Humans learned long ago that the best defense is a good offense," Reeves said grimly. "And while Admiral Vexor brings his massive fleet here, their core worlds will be surprisingly vulnerable." As her officers digested this strategy, a communications officer interrupted. "General, we are receiving a transmission." "It's Admiral Vexor." Reeves straightened her uniform. "Put him through." The screen flickered to life, showing Vexor's scaled face, his expression one of barely contained rage. "General Reeves," he began, "I wanted to inform you personally that your little victory was merely a temporary setback. The full might of the Krozian Empire is now mobilizing against you." Reeves met his gaze calmly. "I assumed as much, Admiral. Your empire isn't known for accepting defeat gracefully. This is your final opportunity," Vexor continued. Surrender your asteroid belt and acknowledge Crosian authority, and perhaps your species will be permitted to continue existing on your little blue world." "That's very generous," Reeves replied, allowing a small smile. "But I have a counter-proposal. How secure do you think your homeworld is right now, Admiral? Your shipyards at Crozak Prime? Your fuel depots in the Mectarian system?" For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Vexor's face. "What are you suggesting?" "Check your secure channels, Admiral," Reeves said. "I believe you will be receiving some disturbing reports very soon." On cue, an aide rushed to Vexor's side, whispering urgently in his ear. The Admiral's eyes widened. "Impossible," he hissed. "How could you possibly?" "Like I said before," Reeves cut him off. "Humans don't fight like anyone you have ever encountered. Your empire expanded by conquering peaceful worlds. We developed in constant warfare. It's given us a rather unique perspective on conflict." As Vexor absorbed this, Reeves continued. "You have a new choice, Admiral. Continue your invasion plans and watch your empire burn from within, or withdraw permanently from Earth space and preserve what you have." "This is blackmail," Vexor growled. "This is war," Reeves corrected him. "Your choice." After the transmission ended, Commander Walsh approached Reeves. "Do you think he will back down?" "No," Reeves said, studying the tactical display. "His pride won't allow it. But we have just ensured that half his fleet will be diverted to protect their core worlds." "And the other half?" Colonel Jackson asked. Reeves's expression hardened. "We'll learn why starting a war with humanity was their biggest mistake." Admiral Vexor paced the bridge of his flagship, the Crosian Dominance, as reports of human strikes throughout the Empire continued to flood in. How had they penetrated so deeply into Crosian territory? How had they evaded the Empire's vaunted detection systems? And most disturbing of all, how had they known exactly where to strike for maximum effect? "Status of the fleet?" he demanded. Commander Dravik looked up from her console, her expression grim. "Battle Groups 3 and 4 have been redirected to defend the core worlds. Battle Groups 1, 2, and 5 remain on course for the Earth system." "Still more than enough to crush their defenses," Vexor muttered. "Sir," Dravik said hesitantly, "perhaps we should reconsider this offensive. The humans have demonstrated capabilities far beyond what we anticipated." "Which is precisely why they must be destroyed," Vexor snapped. "No species can be allowed to challenge the Crosian Empire this way. We must make an example of them." As if summoned by his words, the communications officer announced, "Incoming transmission from Earth, Admiral." "It's General Reeves again." "Put her through," Vexor growled. He would not show weakness now. The main screen activated, but instead of the command center he'd seen before, Reeves appeared to be aboard a ship. Behind her, officers moved with purpose through what was clearly a warship bridge. "Admiral Vexor," she greeted him. "I see you have decided to continue your invasion plans despite our warnings. Your terrorist strikes against civilian targets will not deter us," Vexor replied coldly. Reeves raised an eyebrow. "Civilian targets? We have hit military installations, weapons depots, and shipyards. No civilian casualties have been reported because we specifically avoided them. Unlike your strategy of planetary subjugation." But before Vexor could respond, Reeves continued, "But that's not why I'm contacting you. As a professional courtesy, I wanted to inform you that I am no longer on Earth or the Moon." A cold feeling spread through Vexor's gut. "Where are you?" "Currently?" Reeves glanced at something off-screen. "Approximately 2 light minutes from your position, aboard the U.S. Retribution." "Impossible," Lieutenant Morg exclaimed. "Our sensors show no human vessels anywhere near our fleet." Reeves smiled. "As I have said repeatedly, Admiral, humans don't fight like Crosians. We have had stealth technology for centuries. not because we needed it against other humans, but because we always suspected we weren't alone in the universe. And we always prepared for the worst. With a gesture, she brought up a tactical display visible on her end of the transmission. It showed the positions of every ship in Vexor's fleet, along with dozens of previously undetected human vessels now revealing themselves throughout the formation. "You are surrounded, Admiral," Reeves said simply. "Your ships at home are scrambling to defend against our strikes there. Your reinforcements are light years away, and your current force is now caught in a trap." Vexor felt his frills flare in fury. "You expect me to believe your handful of ships can defeat 3 Crosian battle groups? Even with your technological advantages, the numbers will not save you," Reeves interrupted. "Because once again you are fighting the war you understand, not the war we are actually waging." She nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Crosian flagship. "Admiral," the sensor officer cried, "we are detecting energy spikes within our own ships. Hundreds of them." "What?" Vexor turned to the tactical display in horror as, one after another, Crosian vessels began reporting critical system failures. Engines shut down. Weapons went offline. Life support systems faltered. "What have you done?" he demanded, turning back to the screen where Reeves watched calmly. "Remember when I mentioned infiltration units?" she asked. "For years we have been placing dormant devices throughout your empire, on your ships, in your bases, microscopic machines that remained inactive until now." That's barbaric," Commander Dravik whispered. "That's survival," Reeves corrected her. "You threatened our home. Did you expect us to fight according to your rules? To give you the advantage." As Vexor watched in stunned silence, his mighty fleet became dead in space, disabled but not destroyed, crews alive but powerless. "You have a choice, Admiral," Reeves continued. "Unconditional surrender or annihilation. We have shown restraint so far, but do not mistake that for weakness." For several long moments, Vexor said nothing. His entire career, the glory of the Empire, his personal honor, all hung in the balance. But as he looked around at his disabled flagship, he recognized the cold truth. "I surrender," he finally said, the words like ash in his mouth. Reeves nodded. "A wise decision. Representatives will board your vessel shortly to discuss terms. I suggest you prepare your council for significant changes to the Crosian Empire's expansionist policies." After the transmission ended, Commander Dravik approached Vexor. "What happens now, Admiral?" Vexor stared at the tactical display, watching as human ships moved into position around his helpless fleet. "Now, Commander, we learn a painful lesson that 17 conquered worlds never taught us." He turned to face her. "We learn that the most dangerous species in the galaxy isn't the strongest or the most advanced. It's the one that never stopped preparing for war, even during peace." 2 weeks later, General Alexandra Reeves stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her final report on the Crosian conflict. "The treaty has been signed," she announced. "The Crosian Empire has agreed to withdraw from all contested territories, recognize Earth's sovereignty over our entire solar system, and pay reparations to the worlds they previously subjugated." "And you believe they will honor this agreement?" asked Councillor Davis skeptically. "They will," Reeves nodded. "Because they know we are watching. And because they now understand something fundamental about humanity that they didn't before." "Which is?" prompted Council Chair Lakshmi. Reeves's expression was solemn. "That we spent thousands of years practicing the art of war on ourselves. Was that everything we built, every technology we developed, every strategy we mastered, all of it was forged in conflicts they can barely comprehend. They thought they were bringing war to Earth." She paused. "We showed them that war has always been our domain." As the council chamber erupted in applause, Reeves gazed out at the stars visible through the vast window overlooking Earth. Somewhere out there, other empires, other species might be watching, planning, considering Earth as their next conquest. Let them come, she thought. Humanity was ready. The Empire had laughed at humanity once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. And neither would anyone else.